Hi, this is Mr. Wedge, and I'm not here today, and neither is Mr. Doremus. So I'm making this video to show you how you can finish your coil pot today. So what we're going to need is our pot, and they're all wrapped up over here. So your pots are on these trays, wrapped up. Once you get your pot, we can just take the plastic and throw it away, and an adult can help you with that. So you need your pot, and you're also going to need a lump of clay from this bag. This bin is for where all the dry clay is going to go. So I'm just going to grab my pot really quick, and I'll keep it bagged up so that yours don't dry out. But they're mostly dry right now. This pot is mostly dry, but it's got some water in it still. So, and I know that this one is mine because it says Mr. Wedge on the bottom. So always put your name on your artwork. Don't forget that. I just used a skewer to write my name in because it's really pointy. But you'll need that. You need a lump of clay from the bag. Make sure you have canvas on your tablecloth so the clay doesn't stick to your table. We can fold it up when we're done. And you're going to need a clay tool too, and they're in the yellow drawers. It says clay tools. The slip is just watery clay, and that's by the sink. Okay, so you need all that stuff. So once you have your pot, make sure it's yours and not somebody else's. It's really important. And the two things we're going to do today are make a base for our pot and make a handle for our pot. So we're going to do two things: base, handle. Let's start with the base. Okay, we're going to have to slip and score that on, and I'll show you what that means. So you're going to get your lump of clay, break it in half, and if you've got one half that's bigger than the other, that's good. That'll be your base. So start with that one, and you just want to flatten it out and make a slab. A slab is just a flat piece of clay. And you don't have to like lift it over your head and slam it down on the table. There's no point in doing that. You just want to flatten it out with the heel of your hand. And you can keep flipping it and let the table help you get it flat. Doesn't really matter if it's smooth on the outside, because we're going to trim it in a second. It just needs to be, your base slab, it just needs to be bigger than your coil pot. So here's my base slab. And let's see if the coil pot fits on there. Yep, it does, and there's a little extra left over. So with our clay tool, we can just take it and trim it up a little bit. Just make it nice and even. And save your scraps. You can just add it to your lump. And if you smush it together like this and don't play with it, it won't dry out very fast. So you'll still have it that you can use. So anyway, there we go. There's my coil pot, but this base isn't really connected, and because this is dry, I can't just put it on and expect it to stay. I've got to slip and score it. So here's how you do that. Take the two pieces apart. Everybody saw how I made that, right? Okay, make your slab, put it on, cut around it. We're going to slip and score these together. So here's your slip. First thing you need to do is score it. And if you have a clay tool that looks like this, that's really good for scoring, because you just have to scratch up the surfaces that are going to touch each other. I know this is going to touch my base, so I got to get it really scratched up. And I know the outside edge is going to touch my base, so I've got to get the outside edge really scratched up too. And this is scoring. I'm scoring right now. Scoring the clay. Then, with some adult help, you can carefully get the lid off. We can share the slip too. Dip your finger in. Just wet up the surfaces that you scored, and then we will smush those together. It's called the 4 S's. You score, you slip, you smush them together like this. There we go. Smushed them together. And then you smooth them together. Smooth out the crack where they meet. So this is what smoothing means. You just go around and you really connect them. And when this dries and we fire it, it'll be really strong. It'll never come apart. But you have to do this, otherwise your base will just fall off when it dries. So score, slip, smush, smooth. And there you go. That's how you put a base on your pot. So it's still my pot, but now it has a base to it. So if I pour water in, it won't just fall out onto the table. Alright, you've got to scratch your name in. I scored up my name before, so I've got to write it again. But that's no big deal. Get good at writing your name. It's really important. So there we go. Handle, very easy. All you're going to do is take your leftover clay and roll a coil. You're really good at rolling coils because you already made a coil pot. So here's my coil. Figure out where you want it to go. You can just kind of bend it, stick it on just like this. Any kind of shaped handle you want. You could do it like this. I've seen people make rings and put those on like that. It's like a teacup now. You could have a handle that comes up like this, like a ladle. Totally up to you. But you have to remember to score it on. Okay? So score the pieces on like this. Figure out where it's going to go. Score it. Take your other piece. Score it. Anywhere that it's going to connect. Slip. 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 Smush. Smush. And smooth. Smooth it together. And when you're done, you can put it back on the tray. Make sure your name's on it. Any extra clay, you can flatten it out. Okay? Just flatten it out really flat and put it in the extra clay bin. Work hard and have fun.